Now that's my kind of sale. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. You've only got a few days left, but Guitar Center's having a 10% off used and vintage gear sale, which is big because usually they don't discount their used stuff unless it's been sitting around for a while. This also includes vintage, so look, they've got a 52 Les Paul here today. Man, I miss when these things were readily available for 10 to 15K, but still you can save $3,000 on it. So for my own personal collection, I would love an unbound version that has the 2 screws and the bridge P90 because I think that is super historically significant. Outside of that, regular 52s don't necessarily interest me at this point in time, but all things considered, that one doesn't look too bad. You gotta remember, this is before serial numbers existed on these. And cool, we've got a mutt. 1953 Les Paul Standard. So when this thing started life, it would have looked identical to that 52 we were just looking at. But somebody's refinished it to black, routed it for humbuckers. Looks like we got some new frets on there. Maybe they corrected the neck angle, maybe they didn't. But sweet, they left the natural back and sides. So it is an authentic Blacktop. But wait a minute, is that gold? Did they just spray it over? Unfortunately, they don't tell us. Probably because they're not sure themselves. That one's $19,000, but you can save about $2,000 off of that. But hey, we've got one of the 2019 Chris Cornells. It's funny, I go from most expensive to cheapest, and we've got a 2019 as the 4th most expensive guitar at Guitar Center. So this one takes you down to about $10,000, which, yeah, they can sell for that much. We did review one of these reissues. That was thanks to Mr. Gold. But some guys don't like this version because it has the signature on the headstock, and they didn't think Chris would have wanted that. But it looks like this one might have been played a little bit because the satin finish is glossed up. But hey, not a bad serial, 28 out of the 250. But what I really liked about the sale is the fact that it stacks on top of already price cut guitars. So this one, it was $11,000. I don't know if that's a fair deal or not, but it's been marked down to $9,000 and now you can get another $900 off of that. But this is a 2016 Rick Nielson signature. I haven't really followed the market on these. It does look like quite a nice guitar from the true historic era. Here's what Reverb says for the age sign version, but I think this one's just aged. This one has me interested. Somebody traded in their Zodiac Les Paul. This was a Guitar Center Musician's Friend exclusive. We documented it in this episode if you'd like to check it out further. They were $8,000 brand new, and they made like 15-ish or so of them. So here it is for $1 over retail. And a few of these have shown up since, but as unique as this model is, there doesn't seem to be a lot of love for them. Like this one sat for 2 years. So I don't think the market is willing to pay a premium on this, but I actually have the inside info behind this one. It was actually listed to Reverb for the exact same price, and there was little to no interest on this one. Personally, I thought the blue burst was a little bit small on this particular example, but the big kicker on this one is there's a giant ding/gouge on the edge of it, and it definitely has some scratches on the back, so it's more so player's grade. But seeing it show up at Guitar Center really hurt, because like, if I would have known he was taking $5,000 for that thing, if they gave him that, I would happily have looked past that ding and added it to my collection. But that takes it down to $7,200 plus tax. So if you really wanted one of these, it's available. And hey, they've got a Johnny Winter Murphy lab, kind of cool to see, as well as like the / Anaconda burst. That's not the Gibson USA one. This is the custom shop version. Let's see, what do we got going on here? A made-to-measure 68 reissue custom. At first glance, it almost looks like a heartwood top, but whoa, okay. That was extremely relict, but it looks cool with the wood grain that we've got going on. Whereas the back, it's just a regular natural finish. Kind of reminds me of the 74 reissue custom that we recently just did, but in 68 format from 2019. So this would be pre-Murphy Labs. Oh, you don't see these every day. The Alex Lifeson signature ESLP. It's based on a Les Paul custom rather than the usual ESLPs, which are based on standards. And if I remember correctly, you can also find like a 3-pickup Black Beauty version of it. I wouldn't mind reviewing one of these. I guess I'll think about it. So that takes it down to $63 plus tax. That seems fairly competitive to what's on the market right now, and actually seems like a deal as compared to everything else. Description says number 29 out of 200, but it looks like number 9 is also on the market for not too much more. Ooh, 1967 335. That looks like a stage 4. Well, maybe not stage 4. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stage 4 is where the thing has been played so much, it no longer just looks like, oh, there's a couple of nicks and dings. It has its own persona to it, and it becomes extra cool again. Just look at how ambered over that headstock is. However, when we zoom onto the body, I'm not seeing like tons of wear, so it's possible this was in a high humidity area. I know a lot of guitars that get stored long-term in Thailand, they turn this amberish hue. It's a very distinct look. I don't think that's the case on this particular one though. This one had to have been playing in some smoky bars or in a smoky house. Because that's what's weird. It's so ambered over, but not much wear to back that up. They're asking $6,800 on that before they're 10% off. And they've got a custom here. Let's see what's going on. $6,700. All right, looks like it might be early 80s era with the flip-out winding tuners. Yep, that tells us 1981. Got some weird stuff going on at the top of the headstock. Must have been a strap or something, or maybe a clip-on tuner. But that just appears to be, whoa, okay, 3 pickup. My next question would be, is that factory original 3 pickup from 1981, or has it been modified? You'd have to call the store to find out. The pickups do look promising to potentially be era correct. But I can tell you, the pickguard's not stock. We're missing our bracket screw. We've got replaced knobs on it. But hey, a Silverburst at $6,600 plus 10% off, so it makes about $6,000 even. Now we find out why it's a little bit cheaper. You've got a lot of wear on the neck. But it's also got the flip-out winding tuners. It's been refretted. If you want an Adam Jones-styled instrument, who cares about the wear on the neck? I've seen a lot worse sell for more than that, so even though the Silverburst market has started to cool down a bit, that could be a fun player. And there goes Guitar Center clickbaiting me again. All right, let's see what custom this one is. Okay, I can already tell it's got a Kaler. No, it's another Silverburst. I think I remember this one being on Reverb. Got the weird mirrored pickguard to it. But cool, old shop sticker, similar wear on that. Between the choice of the 2 of those, I would go with the other one though. But what's the story on the 79 Explorer? Asking $6,000 on it. Okay, so it's one of these 76 styles. From the first photo, I thought we had some binding on it. That's why I wanted to check it out. Maybe it was an early E2. But this looks exceptionally clean for being marked as good. It's got one of those weird looking serial numbers. Yeah, that's just how they are. Usually in the 80s, but also in the late 70s. Looks like somebody changed our strap button location, probably for good reason. That actually looks pretty cool. Now a Heritage 80. I'm impressed with the selection they have. Sometimes we do these guitar hunting episodes and we don't really find much outside of like the one guitar I wanted to talk about, which in this case was the Zodiac. But some of my favorite guitars are actually the plain top Heritage 80s because you can usually get a good deal on them. This one's got 2 weird bird's eyes, doesn't have much in the flame figuring department. Like you can tell there's some. I don't know if I'd suggest paying $6,000 for this particular one, but if it ever comes down to like $4,000 to $4,500, I think it could be a lot of fun. Looks like limited edition number 499, in relatively good shape otherwise. I like it. It's got character with the eyes. 76 Artisan, $6,000. Okay, headstock's looking good. Body has a little bit of a chatoyant effect to it. You've got some buckle rash. Oh, nice. It's one of the versions that says limited edition. There's not many like that. So that tells me it's probably an early 76. It's got a little bit of a gash there. It appears to be original, you know, from these photos. No, change bridge pickup. But has original with it. Likely doesn't work. Then they also modified your middle. But you know what? Now that I look at it, I have high confidence that is the original pickup. You see how rounded it is right there? That's how you can tell vintage pickups from modern ones. Because when you get here, it's still rounded, but it's not as rounded over. If you don't have to have it 100% original, that takes it down to $5,400. That is not the worst price I've ever seen. But the other thing about Artisans, it's very common for neck twists to occur. So if you buy that one, make sure you check it over real good. Oh, cool. They've got a KM, 5800. It's actually one of the flame top ones. Most of the KMs are very plain, so whenever you have any type of figuring, it's actually a bonus. This one's heavily ambered over as well. Doesn't appear to be in too bad a shape otherwise. I've got a Cherry Sunburst KM for sale if anyone's interested. I was thinking 4,500 on that one. And here's another Silverburst. Man, Guitar Center's just been getting tons of these, because these are different from the last time that we did a hunting. So this one's been refretted, swapped out pickups, but you still have your original pickup rings, so that's cool. After discount, it's $5,000. Oh, super ultra maxed out truss rod, but I appreciate that they're letting you know. That's why that one's cheap. But you know what? Since it's already been refretted, what's ripping the fretboard off to fix that? On a player's model, it doesn't really matter, so if the price is right, the price is right. If you have the right luthier in your corner anyway. This is about the strangest Les Paul custom I've ever seen. It's not uncommon for photos to accidentally get mislisted with things, but what's funny about this particular one is it matches the description outside of the whole Les Paul thing. It's still kind of a Black Beauty 355 with 3 pickups, although those did not exist in 1957. Oh, cool, one of the Alien Tech green Dave Mustaines, and a really player's grade L5S. I know some of you would be quick to say, hey, that's a stage 4. In my opinion, I think this one's stage 3. It doesn't quite have the right look yet. It's getting there, but it just looks like an old player to me. But not the worst price in the world after your discount. But that's about the best photo I've ever seen of a Johnny A. I still need to review one of these, just so I can fully understand. I mean, it's kind of like a tiny Barney Kessel, and they make them in so many different variations. This one's got a couple of dings at the top and some other average wear. But whoa, I'm sorry, ma'am. Quilt top just happened. I thought that was just a straight up ebony finish. Okay, I see it now. And you do too, because we just adjusted the contrast. All right, this is the first one that I think I could classify as a deal to somebody who's in the market for this particular guitar. That's about, what, 36-ish after your discount? This was a limited edition Les Paul Supreme. I had missed one earlier this year for about $3,000, which was like really good deal. I super regret missing out on that. So if you're after one of the original Supremes in a limited edition, that I would say is a fair price. Assuming no issues and has original case, but you'd have to call up the shop. But I am impressed with how much gear they are bringing into the shop. Like, look at this. Remember when we reviewed the Blonde Beauty and I told you it had a MIDI pickup system? This is what we're talking about. They mount to the top. They mount right there by the bridge. It makes sense to put that on an artist. But wow, an ebony artist. That's cool. Somebody's replaced our nut, though. That's supposed to have a brass one. But when you've got some holes drilled into the top, who really cares? Night Violet Explorer for $4,000. Usually these are all finished checked up, and they get a whole bunch of wear on the neck. This one, yeah, it's not looking bad. But oddly, they have a different one listed in Fort Worth, Texas instead of Plano. I'm curious if this is the same guitar listed twice, but at varying prices. That one's getting closer to where I would consider paying it. But I guess not. This one doesn't have the Custom Shop Edition decal. Oh, did you notice? This one has chrome hardware, and this one's gold. So that's probably what the CSE status is about. You tell me, which one goes better with Vampire Burst here? I think I prefer the gold. There's a Zoot Suit if you're looking for one of them. Still a bit high after 10% off. That's not bad on a Custom Shop Theodore. A used Bluebird. Check out the super modified 68 330. Oh my goodness. So we at least have the added middle P90. Looks like they tried moving switches around at some point in time and then just ended up capping them off. Unfortunately, that's all the fun we can see on that. The pickguard caught my attention of this. Is this an early 90s limited edition Explorer? It does appear to be green. I'm not seeing any limited edition stamp, but the tuners look about right for it. How much are they asking? Ooh, $3,500. That one is a lot more special than just being advertised as a used Gibson Explorer. And out of all the designer series guitars, I think this is my favorite one, the stripes. It looks so good on the Explorer shape. Although I would argue that one wasn't quite placed properly on this example. Maybe it's just the photo angle. I'm surprised how many 80s Gibson Flying V's and Explorers Guitar Centers have, and here's another designer series in a desirable stop-tail format. Maybe not my most favorite design ever, but in case you didn't notice, this one has the continuation of the design on the headstock. That's actually pretty cool. I think Guitar Center trying to shift all their focuses to win back consumers need to start listing some of this stuff on Reverb instead of paying Google ads. So I can tell you right now, this thing on Reverb for $3,000 wouldn't have lasted as long as it has on this site. I think it would be way more effective for them. Have a dedicated person for each store that actually writes a really well-written description. Because if they're going to focus on the high-end consumer, they really need to find the high-end consumer, and they have different expectations of how a guitar should be listed and described. And then we've got this one. This one's been talked about a lot on the internet. Being Guitar Center, I thought this was within their terms of service that they won't buy defaced serial number guitars. Very clearly stolen at some point in time in its life. All I've got to say is they had to have gotten a steal of a deal to put that in their shop. Whew, that's actually a really decent price on one of those. Well, I'll be. This is a custom color Explorer Pro. Usually these have the quilt top and they came in the natural and kind of a trans black finish, but this one appears to be straight up ebony. Now we've talked about this one in the past. Poor Mosaic Zoot Suit. It's starting to get cheaper though. Whoa, we got some cool pickups in this SG Custom. They look like what, DiMarzio's with the bobbin showing? Okay. It's not the worst price I've ever seen on one of these Midtown Kalamazoos. And one of the Jason Hook Explorers. Out of all the signature Explorers, this one sells for the least and has the smallest buyer pool. I've always thought they were kind of cool though with the conduit, but once you have one in person, that's just like this big plastic tubing. It really is kind of strange on a guitar, but it matches the vibes he was going for. But this one's got some chips on the side. Here's kind of a cool one, $800. The Gibson Bass 5. There's also a Bass 4, but it's a 5-string vintage bass based on the Victory Series body shape. Now the problem with these old Gibson basses is, usually they get some sort of a truss rod issue. And that one's no exception. And oh my goodness, it's mad in USA. Like, is that a ding, or did they really just not stamp the E there? That's hilarious. And nice, a mislisted guitar. They call it an Invader. This is actually known as the Black Knight. It's kind of a weird Invader Corvus mashup. I mean, I've seen people ask more than this. Unfortunately, somebody's added a pickguard to it. Because originally it would have looked like this. Yeah, they came with the Kaler. They're not really that desirable of a guitar, but sometimes people get crazy with their asking prices. And I'll leave you tonight with this Flub. That doesn't look like any Gibson Les Paul Studio I've seen. All right, troglodytes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.